Because Irish mothers are unreal. They are guilty, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're unreal. Oh, poor me. Guilt is an entirely useless emotion, so why do we bother with it?
We are the happy headers, and for once I would concur with Siobhan. Yes, guilt is an entirely useless. What is it? Is it an entirely useless emotion? Obviously, we feel guilt for a reason.
Yes. Well, I prefer to have guilt than be a psychopath or a sociopath.
So you said
if
you didn't feel guilty, you wouldn't be acknowledging that you did something wrong.
Yeah, like you've no empathy, for people. So obviously you don't care then, and so you've no guilt. But if you have guilt, I think it's healthy, to feel a certain amount of guilt in your life. If you do something wrong to somebody, if you hurt a person or a child or an animal, then you should feel guilty for doing that.
Okay, but what about the other kind of guilt where you haven't done anything particularly wrong? What about when you eat the big bar of chocolate when you're on a diet and you feel guilty?
Yeah, well you
That's
should.
a different guilt.
I should feel guilty for doing that.
But why? Where does that come from? What have you violated in yourself that tells you should be guilty?
Well, I violated a promise that I've made to myself. Because if I want to, eat healthy, and get my cholesterol down and, maybe be a certain weight or whatever like that, then I violated a promise I made to myself, so I should feel guilty about that then.
Yeah, but you're not saying...
What's the point of stuff on my face then?
Oh, because it makes you feel good in the moment.
Well,
it makes you feel emotionally good in the moment.
Yeah, but it's not great really, It's alright, but it's not the best feeling afterwards really, is it? It kind of tends to turn the volume up on the bad feeling.
Yeah, but doesn't it kind of, when you get into putting other people's needs first? You said in a previous video, we were talking about, spending time away from family, and so you said, I often thought that. When it comes down to I just feel guilty.
Yeah, I don't like leaving them.
But
I feel like I'm away off having a lovely time and they're stuck at home.
Affect them.
It's terrible.
You're supposed to make them survive without you. That's your goal as a parent.
Oh my God.
Okay, you don't have to abandon them at 3 months, but yours are pretty well on now. So, time to affect them out of the nest and kind of go, this is just for me. I'm just going to sit here in the nest all by myself and just be happy.
Jesus, not quite. I like my nest full, Paul.
Right. You'll probably be ringing social services.
Like an empty nest.
But you get this a lot with mothers. That they'll put everybody else's needs ahead, their families. We covered it in a previous video, martyrdom.
Yeah, martyrdom.
They'll become martyrs. And they feel guilty then. Like if they have money, and instead of going, I need to go and buy myself a pair of shoes, I buy something for the kids.
Yeah, you can go to extremes, I think, with that. And certainly, I think, what a lot of women would concur, that have children, it's like guilt-free shopping. If you're out buying something for the children, then, it's still fulfilling a need to shop. And
so would you buy something for the kids and then kind of go, and I'll get that for myself as well?
Not often, sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the guilt-free shopping piece, that you want to shop. You can spend money you haven't really got to spend, but if you spend it on the kids, then you can justify it.
Justify it.
Yeah, but if you spend it on yourself, it's not justified. And I think this goes back to a whole a historical era of suppression for women, where they had no money, they were relying on men to give them money and,
that's where we messed
give
up.
them permission to fucking buy
too much
clothes
autonomy
and shit for themselves.
Too much freedom.
There wasn't enough of it.
Never giving them the
issue.
boat is the thing.
Isn't that shocking?
When we stopped telling them what to think and do, that's where we became vulnerable.
God. He's cruising for a bruising today, definitely.
But in relationships, and I am joking, in relationships you can be guilted. Your partner can make you feel guilty.
Yeah, definitely. For not paying enough attention to them, for not understanding them, for not preempting their needs.
But aren't they just attention seeking then? Aren't they just?
Fucking sure they are.
There you go.
It's too much, or extreme altruism, where people are really invested in charity work and they're just leave themselves live in poverty, to just suffer. That's not what life is intended to be like.
No.
For the good of others. So that's not good either, I don't think. I think you have to look after yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But then there's gaslighting and everything in relationships. People feel guilty for things that they didn't actually say or do, but they're being gaslit by the other partner and they're in this whole coercive abuse or control situation, and That can't be good for you either, Paul.
No, it can't be. It can't be.
Paul does it to me the whole time. I know he doesn't.
She likes it. But you get guilt and resentment building up for. We've seen it, and it's something that's in the news at the moment as we record this video about people, elderly people, maybe in nursing homes or institutions.
Yeah, Jesus.
And the people looking after them resent looking after them.
Yeah, but there's no help for the carers, and like I think there's no psychological services there for them to help them cope. Especially carers that are work, you know, maybe a family member and they're minding the elderly person or their disabled, you know, sister or brother at home, you know, and like the amount of money that they get every week is pittance. Like really, it's disgraceful. It's not the amount of 24/7 work that goes into caring for somebody with a disability or an elderly person is absolutely unreal. Like, I mean, you wouldn't expect an ordinary person to work the amount of hours that a carer works. So of course they're going to end up with resentment. You know, not everyone does, obviously.
They can feel guilty then for being
they feel
resentful.
guilty, yeah, or they become abusive to them.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen in a good few relationships where, you know, maybe a husband, for example, was very controlling of the woman all her life, and then the next thing he ends up with a severe disability or something. He gets really sick and he's really dependent, and then she becomes really abusive to him. So the roles kind of flip.
Yeah.
So there is guilt attached to that too for the person.
I never take on anybody else's guilt. I don't want to let anybody pin guilt on me.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, if I do something wrong, then I can go, hands up,
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if I want to kind of just lay it on guilt, I go, hold on a minute, that's your stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
They're not dealing with the reasons why.
Yeah, but they're projecting their guilt onto you. Onto you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So watch out for guilt in relationships. Don't let anybody guilt you.
Let us know, actually, guys, if you've experienced that yourselves, or if you know somebody who's really good at laying on the guilt trip. I know my mother was an expert at it when I was growing up here.
That's another video.
Because Irish mothers are unreal at the old guilt trip, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're unreal. Oh, poor me.
We are the Happy Headers. Like us, subscribe to us, and we'll talk to you soon.